He didn't deserve to go like this.
A killing that shook the police.
Have you got anything on that's going to hurt me or you?
A hidden gun. And one big question: how could a handcuffed prisoner deliver the fatal shot?
He killed my brother.
I've seen the footage a lot of times over the last 3 years. It always gets me here.
Kia ora, welcome to East Grinstead Rugby Football Club. I'm Matt Ratana, head coach. Based in the heart of Sussex, we have a long history of growing grassroots rugby.
Matt Ratana was a big personality. To his rugby friends in Sussex, he was a tight head prop and head coach. To his colleagues in London's Metropolitan Police, he was a charismatic custody sergeant. But his life began on the other side of the world.
As kids, we were tight as two peas in a pod, eh?
Matt Ratana and James Young grew up in Palmerston North in New Zealand. Their mother, Mary, had emigrated from Scotland. Their father was Maori.
Oh, we used to watch TV together because we had an old black and white TV. Professionals, FA Cup games and rugby games, and we'd stay up. Mum got us walkie-talkies one Christmas. Stupid as, in the same room, under the blanket, we're talking to each other on the walkie-talkie. In the same room. Very sporty. Soccer, cricket, basketball, martial arts. Because he played tennis quite a lot, they had a fundraising event and he was a catwalk model. And he had the tennis gear on and the tennis racket and a model with him. So they catwalked out and yeah, I thought that was funny as. He was a pretty boy. He liked his looks. He was a top tennis player here in Palmy and he went to America to do a tennis scholarship. And I remember he sent us a letter with an insurance claim for his hands. His hands were insured for $250,000. We thought he was going to be a tennis champ and win US Opens, but nah, he didn't. He went and became a cop. He went to England in '91, joined the Met straight away, become a bobby.
Once you'd met Matt, you couldn't forget him. He would take time to talk to people. He didn't care who you were. People would ask for him. When you worked at Croydon Custody, people that came in, that had come in before, would ask for Matt, that had been arrested, which is amazing.
Can't teach it. Stay out of trouble, you guys. Stay out of trouble.
Matt Ratana got married in 1992. He and his then wife Teresa had a son, Luke.
Yeah, I was looking forward to him coming home. I had video calls with him. It was perfect. It was bliss. And then it was taken away in 2020. The last time I spoke to my brother was 2 days before he was murdered. The thing that really guts me, he was going to retire.
Tonight at 10, tributes are paid to the police officer Sergeant Matthew Ratana, shot dead in Croydon in South London.
When I got the call on the morning that Matt had been shot, I was trying to comprehend what on earth has happened. Every single moment from when De Zoyzer was first seen on the street is all captured on video.
Louis De Zoyzer, the man who went on to kill Matt Ratana, was stopped by police just after 1:30 in the morning. What the officers didn't know was that the 23-year-old had a fixation with firearms. Earlier, De Zoyzer had left his home outside Banstead in Surrey just after midnight. He then walked into town to catch the bus to West Croydon. And there he changed to a night bus and got off on London Road near his parents' house. This is where he aroused the police's suspicions.
There's a lot of burglaries in this area, okay? It's 1:30 in the morning. I don't know who you are. You've probably got a totally legitimate excuse, all right? But at the moment, you're walking down the road with a duffel bag, all right? Which I believe may have stuff going to equipped to do a burglary, all right? So I'm just going to search.
PC's Rich Davey and Samantha Still were suspicious because he was carrying a distinctive holdall in an area where there'd recently been burglaries.
I'm going to confess, okay? In that bag is non-medical cannabis.
Okay, how much have you got in there?
He told them he had cannabis on them, so they handcuffed him literally straight away for their protection.
So the reason for that is people try and do silly things when we search them. They try and hurt themselves, they try and hurt police officers, all right?
Can you take me into the car, please? Stop.
They found on him ammunition, which they described at the time to be bullets.
I'm placing you under arrest for possession of what I believe to be bullets.
But despite an extensive search, they didn't find the loaded revolver he was also carrying.
Found nothing. He had the gun in a shoulder holster on his left armpit, under here.
The handcuffs were moved from a front position to a back position, deliberately so. The officers had greater control of him and he couldn't be using his hands to go into his pockets.
We're changing to handcuffs to rear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he was taken to the police station to be further searched.
Mind your hands.
He was sitting in the wagon, there's footage of him in the wagon. He was able to dislocate his shoulders.
Contorting himself to produce the firearm in such a deliberate way.
They take him out of the van, he walks into the corridor.
Detectives think that by now, Louis de Zoysa had the gun in his right hand, hidden under the flap of his jacket. It was at the custody centre that Matt Ratana first encountered de Zoysa, taking his temperature to check for COVID and leading him to a holding cell.
No, it's fine. Possession of a firearm, aka a bag of what look like bullets. Possession of intent to supply, Class B.
So you probably don't need further search.
Yes, 100%.
Right,
We did have handheld metal detectors available in the custody suites as they were on this night and the officers were about to use.
Stand up, mate.
He's been a bit.
Go on.
I think this is it.
I understand, stand up.
So please leave.
What?
Can you please leave?
You can hear him mumble something. He goes, I need to pass on. You can hear what he says.
I think I'm going to pass on.
Matt walks in there. He goes, look, I'm the custody sergeant for the night. You need to stand up, Louis, we're going to want you.
Okay, listen to me. My name's Matt, I'm the custody officer, right? I'm in charge. I'm not involved in the investigation. You've been arrested on suspicion of possession of bullets, ammunition and possession of intent to supply.
Class B.
Class B, anything else?
That's it.
Alright, your detention's not been authorised yet, but I can authorise a search of you under section 54 of PACE. Stand up.
That was when Louis de Zoysa pulled out the gun from under his jacket and shot Matt Ratana in the heart.
Through the chest, killed him straight away, through the heart. Second shot hit him in the right thigh, upper. Third shot hit the wall in the room, didn't hit anyone.
The two arresting officers, without any thought, instinctively jumped on de Zoysa to try and wrestle the firearm away. I've seen the footage as you might imagine, a lot of times over the last nearly 3 years. Every time I watch it, it always gets me here. Even though I know what's about to occur, the emotion that I feel watching it must be nothing compared to the emotion and the impact it has on Matt's partner Sue and his family.
His colleagues knew him as a big guy, big in stature, big in heart, friendly, capable, a lovely man.
He's never coming back. Why? Tell me why. Do you know why he's not coming back? Because he was taken, before his time, before he deserved to go. He didn't deserve to go like this.
So who was Louis de Zoysa, the man who pulled the trigger? He'd grown up in Norbury in South London. Aged 13, he was diagnosed with autistic spectrum disorder. He did well at school and in the Army Cadets, where he learnt to shoot. In his school yearbook, he was described as good with weapons. At home, there was domestic violence. His father has convictions for beating his mother and breaking de Zoysa's foot with a bed slat. He went to university to study engineering, but dropped out and went to work in the Croydon tax office. By the time of the pandemic, he was renting a small flat on a rundown farm. It was here that he used his engineering skills to make the ammunition. It needed to fit the caliber of the antique 1898 Colt revolver he'd bought in an online auction.
This is somebody who clearly had a significant interest in firearms. The revolver that he was walking around the streets of London with in the early hours was a firearm that at the time could be legally purchased, and he purchased it through an internet site.
In 2020, you could legally possess an antique gun without a license if it fired ammunition that was no longer manufactured. De Zoysa got round that by making his own bullets. The law was changed 6 months later.
The reasons why Louis de Zoysa did what he did are only known unto him.
He killed my brother. What for? Louis, you touched my family. I don't care what happens to you.
After he'd shot Matt Ratana, Louis de Zoysa shot himself in the neck during the struggle. While Matt Ratana died, Louis de Zoysa survived. For weeks he was in a coma. He'd suffered a stroke and could not walk or talk. He made a slow recovery at a specialist brain injury unit at St Andrew's Healthcare in Northampton. In June 2021, despite his permanent injuries, he was charged with murder, appearing in court by video link from his hospital bed. His lawyers argued that there should not be a trial. They said de Zoysa could not fully understand the court process, but a judge said the case should go ahead. The trial was unprecedented. When de Zoysa gave evidence, the extent of his injuries was obvious. He mostly gave one-word answers and short, ungrammatical phrases like "I was panic." He also used a whiteboard to draw pictures and write the words that he could not say. He often seemed confused. At one point, he mixed up the prosecution lawyer with the judge. To help him, the lawyers in the case used very simple language, similar to that in young children's books. But the court had to have regular breaks as he tired easily, sometimes yawning and coming close to falling asleep. Why was it so important to you that Louis de Zoysa did stand trial?
So simply, Louis de Zoysa killed Matt Ratana, and therefore the role of the police, the Crown Prosecution Service, the prosecution and defence teams and indeed the courts, we are part of our criminal justice system to do what is appropriate to ensure that justice is done and indeed seems to be done. The decision whether Louis de Zoysa was fit to stand trial, was able to stand trial, is not a matter for the police.
De Zoysa's legal team argued that he was having an autistic meltdown at the time of the shooting. They pushed for a verdict of manslaughter, but the jury convicted him of murder.
I have considered the impact of your autism on your culpability. In doing so, I have paid close attention to the Sentencing Council's guideline. You were not having an autistic meltdown. You were in control of your actions. Expert evidence during the trial indicated that autism does not cause people to be violent. The seriousness of the offence means that a minimum term order is not justified. A whole life order must be imposed. Louis de Zoysa, I sentence you to imprisonment for life. I impose a whole life order. That means you will remain in custody for the rest of your life.
Whilst the court case has concluded, the constant feeling of grief and loss continues. My love for Matt, my gentle giant, will never end. He will never be forgotten.
While Matt Ratana's family continue to grieve, have the force learned any lessons? What have you done to make sure that this can't happen again?
All our frontline vehicles now have these handheld metal detector ones. We have introduced a full body scanner, like the body scanners you see when you're at airports, in one of our custody suites in South London. Now, a body scanner and handheld metal detector ones won't find everything. They don't replace a search, but they add to a search if an officer is concerned that they think something has been hidden.
So what they've told us, if they've changed the procedures and all these sorts of things, they've got metal detectors where you walk in through now. I'm like, well, they've got those in the police stations here. They've had them for years. The customs they have here in New Zealand, it wouldn't have happened here. And the fact that it happened in England, I'm just blown away. It was not done right. And the fact that they've shoved it under the carpet and said, oh, it's okay, here, have the Scotland Yard badge for your brother. This disgusts me. This disgusts me. Sorry for your loss, James, but that's not enough for me.
The two officers who first arrested Louis de Zoysa were investigated by the Independent Office for Police Conduct. It said they could have done a more thorough search, but decided they should face no disciplinary action and praised them for their bravery in tackling the gunman after he opened fire.
There's still those people, though, that when you open the door and walk in the custody suite or walk in the office, you think, oh, today's going to be a good one. And Matt was top of the list of those people.
If you worked with Matt, you felt safe. And he had that, I can't quite put it into words, but he had the ability to make police officers and the public just feel safe purely by his presence there.
People couldn't help but like him, even if they were anti-police, they would love Matt Ratana.
I thank you for the love that you have shown, but now it's time I travelled on alone. So grieve for me a while, if grieve you must. Then let your grief be comforted by trust.
You want to see a haka, you'll see a haka when he comes home. This is where he comes from. He was a great tane mahuta in the forest. And he was just starting to grow. He just planted a little bit of seed, a little bit of root, come up, a little bit of tree, and then some fella just come in and went stomp. Say you love your partner, say you love your kids. Tomorrow they might not be there to say it to, eh? I'm a fallen angel. My brother was an angel. Yep. So I'm here on earth to get up there with him.